Hello, and welcome to the deep dive. I'm really glad you're with us today.
Hi there.
We're going to get right into something pretty crucial. The recent cyber attack on Harrods,
Uh-huh.
and also some similar things that happened around the same time at Marks& and Spencer and the Co-op.
Yes, quite a cluster of incidents.
Exactly. So our mission here really is to sort of pull out the key lessons from all this. What does it tell you about the state of cybersecurity in retail right now?
It's a very timely question.
And to help us make sense of it all, we're joined by Dr. James Thornton. He's a highly respected cybersecurity expert, formerly an advisor to the UK's National Cybersecurity Center. Welcome.
Thank you. It's good to be here. These are important events to dissect.
Absolutely. Thank you for watching Westferry Times, by the way. Okay, let's jump straight in. For anyone who maybe missed the headlines, could you give us the rundown on the Harrods situation? What actually happened?
Sure. So Harrods detected what they described as unauthorized attempts to get into their systems. Their response was immediate. They proactively restricted internet access across all their stores and offices.
Wow, all of them.
Yes, pretty much everywhere. It was a precautionary move, to contain any potential threat, like pulling up the drawbridge.
A scorched earth approach, almost.
You could say that. It probably disrupted the attacker's ability to control anything they'd compromised or to pull data out.
Exfiltrate data, you mean? Like copying sensitive info?
Exactly. Taking it out secretly. So that quick, decisive action was likely quite key in those first few hours. Shows the value of acting fast.
Right. That sounds drastic, but maybe necessary. Now, the bit I found really interesting. Their shops stayed open, and online sales, too.
That's what Harrods reported, yes.
Yeah.
Despite the big internet shutdown internally, the core retail side, buying things in-store or online, apparently carried on without interruption.
That is quite something, because often these attacks just grind everything to a halt.
It is notable, yeah. It makes you wonder about the specific nature of the attack, what the attackers were really after.
Definitely. And like we mentioned, it wasn't just Harrods around that time, was it?
No, that's right. Around the same sort of period, Marks& and Spencer and the Co-op also had public acknowledgments of cyber issues.
And M&S seemed quite badly affected.
It appears so. Their situation seemed more substantial in terms of immediate impact.
Yeah.
They actually had to suspend online orders for a time.
Oh, wow.
And even their recruitment activities stopped. Reports suggested it was a ransomware attack.
Ransomware. So that's when they lock everything up and demand money?
Basically, yes. They encrypt the systems, make them unusable, and demand a ransom, often crypto, to unlock them. So for M&S, it sounds like that directly stopped online sales and hiring, a very significant business disruption.
Yeah, much more direct than Harrods, it sounds like. The timing, though, all three happening so close together, that feels like more than coincidence.
It certainly raises the question, doesn't it? You have to consider if there was some kind of coordinated effort targeting UK retail.
Right.
Investigations are probably still going on, but yeah, it's a plausible theory to explore.
A coordinated campaign against the whole sector. That's quite a worrying thought. Why would they do that?
Well, there are a couple of ideas experts are floating. One is maybe they share a common supplier, a technology vendor.
Yeah.
And a vulnerability in that shared tech could have been exploited across all of them. Or it can be more of a domino effect. One successful attack gives attackers info or, confidence to hit others quickly.
Okay, so if it is coordinated, or even if it's just opportunistic, what are they trying to achieve? What's the goal for the attackers?
With retail, it usually boils down to a couple of things, either direct financial gain or getting leverage for extortion.
Because retailers have so much data.
Exactly. Huge amounts of valuable customer data, personal details, names, addresses, and crucially, payment information, credit card numbers. Getting hold of that data, maybe selling it or threatening to release it unless a ransom is paid, that's incredibly valuable to cybercriminals. It really shows how every time you shop, your data is part of this target landscape.
That really drives home why there's such prime targets. Okay, let's circle back to Harrods' reaction, that big internet cutoff. Drastic, maybe, but it sounds like it worked. What's your take on how they handled it?
I think their swift move to restrict internet access looks like it was probably a very effective containment strategy.
Right.
By cutting connectivity like that, they'd have made it much harder for attackers to spread through their network, what we call lateral movement.
Okay, stop it spreading sideways.
Precisely, and harder to pull data out. Getting cybersecurity experts involved straight away was also vital, obviously, to figure out what was happening and how to fix it. Their quick response likely did prevent, much worse outcomes.
So speed is key.
Definitely. Rapid, decisive action seems to be a major takeaway here.
You mentioned the National Cybersecurity Center, the NCSC, earlier. For listeners who aren't familiar, what do they actually do in a situation like this?
Right, the NCSC. They're the UK's national authority on this stuff. So when something like the Harrods incident happens, they'd work closely with the company.
Huh?
They'd help analyze the attack, figure out how it happened, give expert advice on containing it, recovering, sharing threat intelligence they might have, basically providing national-level expertise and support.
And they also try to warn other businesses.
Yes, a big part of their role is raising awareness across all sectors, emphasizing why cybersecurity needs to be a priority, and pushing for best practices. So having a central body like the NCSC is another key resource.
Okay, so if Harrods, M&S, Co-op, if these incidents do signal a wider vulnerability in retail, what are the big lessons for other retailers?
Well, connecting the dots, these events really hammer home that retail is a vulnerable sector, increasingly so because of all that customer data they hold. So for the whole industry, the big takeaway has to be the urgent need for continued, probably increased investment in strong cybersecurity.
And that's not just about buying fancy software.
No, not at all. It's technology, yes, but it's also things like regular system audits, properly checking for weaknesses. It's thorough employee training.
Yeah.
Because people are often the way in for attackers through phishing emails or whatnot.
Human error.
Big time. And having really clear, well-practiced incident response plans. Knowing exactly who does what when an attack hits.
You touched on some weak spots, but could you spell out the common vulnerabilities we often see in retail specifically?
Sure. Outdated software is a persistent one. Systems that haven't been patched or updated create known security holes that attackers actively look for.
Legacy systems, maybe? Too difficult to update.
Often, yes.
Yeah.
They're seen as too critical to touch, but that leaves the door open. So patching isn't just good practice, it's fundamental. Then, as we said, inadequate employee training is huge. And also just insufficient security protocols generally. Things like weak password rules or not using multi-factor authentication everywhere it should be used. Makes it easier for attackers to just walk in, digitally speaking.
So if you're a retailer wanting to, beef up your defenses after seeing this, what are the top things you'd recommend for getting prepared?
They need a really comprehensive, layered approach.
Yeah.
It's not just one thing. Strong technical defenses, yes, but also a clear, up-to-date cybersecurity strategy.
Right.
They absolutely have to stay informed about the latest threats, how attackers are operating now. Things change fast. And maybe the biggest thing, fostering a real culture of security awareness. Making sure every single employee understands they have a role to play in protecting data. That can make a massive difference.
It really feels like cybersecurity isn't just an IT problem anymore, is it? It's a core business risk.
Absolutely. It has to be seen that way.
Do you think incidents like these affecting major brands might push governments towards, stricter rules? More regulation?
It seems very likely. Given the potential impact on all of us as consumers and on the wider economy, governments globally are definitely looking more closely at tougher cybersecurity regulations.
Especially for companies handling lots of our sensitive data.
Exactly. We could see mandates for specific security standards, maybe stricter rules about reporting breaches quickly.
So, as we kind of wrap up this deep dive, what's the single most important message you think listeners should take away from the Harrods attack and these other incidents?
I think the main thing is, this is a wake-up call. For the whole retail industry, really, but also for any organization handling sensitive data.
A serious one.
Yes. Cybersecurity isn't optional anymore. It's not just a cost center. It's absolutely fundamental to business survival and success.
A business imperative, you called it.
It is. Proactive, ongoing investment in strong security is essential, not just to protect data, but to protect the company's reputation, keep customer trust, and just keep the doors open, frankly.
That's a really powerful note to end on. Thank you so much for sharing your expertise today. It's given us, and hopefully you listening, a lot to think about.
My pleasure. Important discussion to have.
And thank you for joining us for this deep dive into cybersecurity in the retail world. It affects us all, whether we realize it or not, so staying informed is vital. Maybe the question to leave you with is, what part do we play as individuals in keeping our own data safe when we interact with these businesses online and in store? Something to consider. Until next time, stay informed and stay secure. Goodbye.